Have you ever really thought about the ground right under your feet? I mean, not just as dirt, but as this living, breathing universe? In this explainer, we're going to dig into a really fascinating story about a farming revolution. And it turns out the big secret to abundance might not be about adding more stuff, but about doing a whole lot less. So here's the central puzzle we're tackling. How is it that modern farming, a system we designed for massive abundance, so often ends up poisoning the very ground it needs to survive? We've poured all this amazing technology into getting bigger yields. But what if the whole system is trapped in a self-defeating loop? It's a huge contradiction, and it gets right to the heart of how we grow our food. And this idea is captured perfectly in this quote from Masanobu Fukuoka, who was a real pioneer of what's called natural farming. His point was that our constant need to interfere, to control and improve nature has actually just confused us and disconnected us from how things really work. It's a pretty bold thought, and it really sets the stage for the paradox we're about to unpack. All right, so let's dive into this problem. What exactly is this contradiction at the core of so much of our agriculture today? It really comes down to two totally opposite worldviews. On one side, you've got modern agriculture. The goal is total control. The hero of the story is human ingenuity, and the tools are chemicals and heavy machinery. But on the other side, you have natural farming. Here, it's all about partnership, and the hero isn't us, it's nature itself, using tools like biodiversity and this invisible world of microbes. And this right here is the heart of the paradox. A farmer named Akinori Kimura figured this out the hard way over many, many years. See, we spray chemicals to kill pests and to fertilize plants, but those same chemicals wipe out all the good life in the soil. And once that life is gone, the soil can't make its own nutrients anymore. So what happens? We have to add, you guessed it, even more chemicals. It's a chemical treadmill. And the consequences of being on that treadmill are pretty stark. The soil literally becomes hard and lifeless, so plant roots can't push down deep. That incredible web of life just vanishes. The farm gets totally hooked on outside chemicals to survive. And farming itself, well, it shifts from being this partnership with the earth to just another business, where the only thing that matters is the bottom line. Okay, so if that's the problem, what on earth is the solution? Well, it isn't some bigger tractor or a more potent chemical. Turns out the answer has been right there the whole time, in this incredible, unseen world right under our feet. We're talking about a microscopic universe in the soil. It's this vast, invisible cosmos, just packed with billions of organisms. For so long, we've either ignored them or, even worse, treated them like the enemy. But it turns out, these tiny, unseen heroes, they're the key to absolutely everything. And look at this! You can actually see the solution at work. These little bumps on the soybean roots, they're called nodules, and they are packed with bacteria. But these aren't bad guys, they're partners. They literally pull nitrogen, which is essential plant food, right out of the air and feed it to the plant. They're like these tiny little fertilizer factories, and they work for free. So what are these microorganisms exactly? Well, a really great way to think about them is like the gut microbiome for the entire planet. They're this huge, diverse community that breaks down dead stuff, recycles nutrients, and builds alliances with plants. They're the living engine that makes a healthy ecosystem run. Now, I know what you might be thinking. This all sounds really nice in theory, but does it actually work in the real world? Well, let's look at the science behind what people have called the miracle orchard, run by that Japanese farmer we mentioned, Akinori Kimura. Okay, get ready for this, because this is where it gets really wild. Researchers compared the soil in Kimura's orchard, which hasn't seen a drop of chemical fertilizer in decades, with a conventional orchard right next door. And the result is just mind-blowing. Kimura's all-natural soil had more usable nitrogen than the soil that was being pumped full of chemicals. Right? It just completely flips everything we think we know on its head. It begs the question, if you're not adding any fertilizer, but you actually have more nutrients, where's all this nitrogen coming from? And the answer is simply life. Those same studies found that Kimura's soil is just packed with life. It has 1.5 to 2 times more microbes than the conventional orchard. These little guys aren't just hanging out. They are the active workforce that's generating all that fertility. So how does this microbial army actually pull it off? It's not just chaos down there. Ecologists have figured out that there are these really elegant systems at play called plant-soil feedback loops. It's basically two different cycles working together, a fast cycle for quick nutrient turnover and a slow cycle that builds up a stable reserve for the long term. Let me break that down. It's actually a brilliant two-part system. Think of it like managing your finances. The fast-growing plants, like a lot of weeds, are like your checking account. They create a fast flow of nutrients that are available for immediate use. Then you have the slow-growing plants. They're like your savings account. Their tougher leaves and stems decompose slowly, building up a stable stock of nutrients for the future. A healthy ecosystem needs both to be resilient. So once you start to understand this science, you realize it leads to this really profound shift in thinking. This isn't just about learning a new farming technique. It's about a whole new philosophy for how we relate to the natural world. And this picture, it just says it all. That's Akinori Kimura in his orchard, and he is surrounded by the very thing most farmers spend their lives trying to destroy: weeds. But see, to him, that's not a mess. That's his workforce. His radical idea was that weeds create the soil. So why are they so critical? Well, every different type of plant attracts its own unique team of bacteria. So more plants means more diversity, which helps stop any one disease from taking over. Their roots act like little plows, breaking up that hard soil. And, of course, they provide a constant buffet of organic matter to feed that whole microbial system. And this quote from Kimura just perfectly captures the spirit of this approach. The farmer's role completely changes. You're not the master, forcing the land to do what you want. You're more like a facilitator, just creating the right conditions so the real workers, the bacteria, can do their amazing job. And that really brings us to the main takeaway here. For about a century, we've been trying to force a square peg into a round hole, trying to make nature fit our rigid industrial systems. The alternative is to embrace nature's complexity and to start designing systems that actually fit with nature, copying its own incredible resilience and genius. So that really leaves us with one final big question to chew on. This story from the soil, it's about so much more than just farming, isn't it? It's about this deeper choice we all have between control and partnership, between imposing our own simple ideas and embracing natural complexity. It really makes you wonder, what's the most important lesson nature is trying to teach all of us right now?